Hare Krishna. Become capable of sharing the screen. Okay, so one stanza 11. Okay, stanza 11. Translation. It is the absolute duty of the spiritual practitioner to utter the holy name of Hari without offenses. So in Hari Bhakti Vilas, we find a statement in the Padma Purana. Shate nama paradhesu pramadena kasanchana tata sankirtayan nama tadeka sharano bhave. If somehow by mistake an offense to the holy name has occurred, by constantly engaging in Nama Sankirtan, one should become exclusively surrendered to him. Acharya Sanatana Goswami has commented, Kathanchana pramadena vramena jate sati tat namaiva ekam sharanam nāmāśraya yasya tatha tatha bhuto bhave sarvatha nama paro bhave ityarthaha. Some or other, if unknowingly, by mistake, an offense to the holy name occurs, then one must exclusively take shelter of the holy name. One must become absolutely focused on the holy name. This is the meaning. In Madhurya Kadambini, Shri Chakriti Thakur makes it very clear that one cannot overcome reactions to Namaparad that were committed knowingly simply by taking to the ceaseless chanting of the holy name. Rather, one should rectify himself using prescribed methods for each of the 10 offenses he has committed knowingly as prescribed in the scriptures. Te nama paradha prachina arvachina va yadi samyak anabhigyata prakarasyu. If one does not clearly understand whether he has committed some nama parada recently or in the distant past, kintu tat phalalingena anumiyamana eva, and from the results of those offenses we understand, we logically infer that these offenses have taken place. Tatha tesham namabhir eva ashranta prayuktair bhakti nisthayam utpadyamanayam kramena upashamaha. Then one should ceaselessly engage in the chanting of these holy names, and in that way, when bhakti becomes steady, then gradually the reactions to those offenses, they will dissipate. Yadi te gyayante eva. But if one does know the nama paradas that he has committed recently or in the distant past, tadatu asti kvachit kaschit visheshana. But then in that case, that's a separate consideration. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing up the discussion about the holy name, offenses to the holy name. Therefore, in order to avoid offenses, it is essential to know about the types of offenses that can be committed. 10 kinds of offenses to the holy name of Lord Hari are mentioned in the scriptures. They are to blaspheme saints, to consider Shiva and other demigods to be supreme lords, independent of the supreme Lord Krishna, to dishonor the bona fide spiritual master, to blaspheme authentic literature, to conclude that the glories of the holy name of Hari are exaggerated, to concoct a meaning of the holy names of Hari, to engage in sins on the strength of the holy names, to consider the chanting of the holy name to be equal to other auspicious activities, to give instructions on the holy names of Lord Hari to a faithless person, and to not have faith in the holy names even after hearing the glories of the holy name. These are derived from the list of Nama Paradas quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas from Padma Purana. Thus, Satam Ninda Nama Paramam Paradam Vitanote Yatahyatim Yatam Kathamu Sahate Tadvigarha Shivasya Shri Vishnorya Gunanamadi Sakalam Dhiyapun Vinnam Pashyet Sakalu Hari-nāma Hitakara Guroravagya Shruti Shastra Nindanam Tadarthavado Hari-nāmni Kalpanam Namno Valadhyasti Papapurdhir Navidyate Yasya Yamayhi Shuddhi Dharma Vratatyāga Putādi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyamapi Pramada Ashraddha Dhāne Mukhyetya Shanivati Yaschopadesha Shivanāma Parādha Sutepi Nama Mahatmye Yahpriti Rahito Dhamaha Aham Mamadi Paramo Namni Sopya Parādha Krit. The offences are analyzed in Śrīla Sanatana Goswami's Prabhu's, in Śrīla Sanatana Goswami Prabhu's commentary on Haribhakti Vilas, Śrīla Jiva Goswami Prabhu's Bhakti Sandarbha, and Madhurya Kadambini. Stanza 12, translation. By displaying lack of respect towards saintly devotees and criticizing Mahajanas with saintly character, an offense is committed to Lord Hari's holy name. There are two ways: positive offense, negative offense, or active offense, passive offense. Passive offense is to not be respectful towards saintly devotees. Active offense, to criticize great souls with saintly character. The original word for lack of respect is ashraddha. The word which is used by Thakur Bhaktivinoda in this regard is ashraddha. Ashraddha in Sanskrit is the opposite of shraddha. Ashraddha, which also means lack of faith. One should not offend Mahajanas with saintly character. What about Vaishnavas who do not possess a saintly character? Srila Prabhupada remarks in his commentary to Bhagavatam 7:30-31. It is recommended that one associate with devotees, but there must be some discrimination. Actually, a sadhu, a saintly person, must be saintly in his behavior. Sadhava sadachara. Unless one adheres to the saintly behavior, one's position as a sadhu, a saintly person, is not complete. Therefore, a Vaishnava, a sadhu, must completely adhere to the standard of behavior. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that a Vaishnava, a person initiated into the Vaishnava cult, should be offered the respect befitting a Vaishnava, which means he should be offered service and prayer. However, one should not associate with him if he is not a fit person with whom to associate. In his commentary to the same Bhagavatam verse, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has remarked, Sadachara ye bhaktas tesham sanjyeneti durachara bhaktas sevya vandya darshanayascha natu sangartha upadeya iti bhava. By stating that one should associate with devotees with saintly behavior, it is implied that devotees engaged in forbidden behavior can be served, prayed to, and seen, but one should not associate with them. This clarifies the Abhichet Sudrachara verse in Bhagavad Gita. Devotees engaging in forbidden behavior should not be disrespected, but they should not be associated with too. Therefore, the propensity of one who takes shelter of the holy name to dishonor Vaishnavas should be given up completely. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has compared offense unto the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava to a mad elephant. There is not the slightest exaggeration in this metaphor. When Daksha had offended Lord Shiva, the greatest Vaishnava, we know that from Bhagavatam, Vaishnavanam Yathashabhi. Even though he was punished with the head of a goat in his next birth, he was born as a son of Marisha and became unlimitedly materialistic within the bounds of Vedic Dharma, and hence prone to committing further offenses, this time unto the lotus feet of Śrī Hari-nāma. Even when he was blessed with the direct audience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he didn't beg the Lord for devotion service unto him, nor did the Supreme Lord bless him with advancement in devotion service. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur notes that this is a terrible consequence of committing an offense unto a great devotee like Lord Shiva. Excerpts from his commentary on Bhagavatam 6.4.52. Tādrisha hamsaduchya stavena stutopi dattan nija Shri Murti darshana prasadopi उपदिष्टन् इति तत्त्वोऽपि दक्षो भगवता यत् कर्ममार्गगम्ये विषयभोगे निस्सीमके निक्षिप्तः न तु प्रेमामृतसिन्धु तत् खलु स्वमहाभक्त श्री रुद्रापराध शेषस्य अभङ्गुरत्वेन हेतुना इति गम्यते। अतएव अनन्तराध्याये किं मुनीन्द्रेणापि विष्णुमायोपबृंहितः इति आख्यास्यमानः दक्षः नारदमपि आक्षेप्स्यति इति पुनरप्यस्य महदपराधः फलिष्यति। एवं सखामापि सर्वेव भक्ता ध्रुवादयः भुक्तिमेव आचकांक्षुः एव दक्षस्तु अजं भक्तिं आकांक्षते स्म। भगवान् अपि तां न तथावित् एतद् अपराध शेषस्य अस्तित्वे लक्षणम्। Though glorified by the Hamsadusha prayers, though he was blessed with the vision of the Lord's own transcendental form, though instructed by the Supreme Lord of the truth about himself, Daksha was immersed in unlimited sense enjoyment obtainable in the path of karma, not in the nectarian ocean of love for himself, love for God, love of God. It is inferred that the reason for this was the continuance of his remaining offenses to the Lord's own great devotee Śrī Hari. In other words, this is because the reactions to his previous offense was continuing. Therefore, in the immediate next chapter, Daksha, who will be described by Shukadeva, the king of the sages, as impelled by the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu, will criticize Narada also, and his offense to a great soul will fructify them. Thus, all of the Lord's devotees, though materialistic, Sakama, like Dhruva, only hankered for devotion service at the end. But Daksha did not hanker for devotion service from the unborn Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead also did not grant him devotion service. This is the characteristic of the existence of the remnants of one's offense. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's language, anyone and everyone engaged in Navavidha Bhakti, one or more items, is not considered to be a Bhakta, a Krishna Bhakta. A Krishna Bhakta is one who wants Ahaitukya Pratihata Krishna Bhakti as the ultimate goal. Therefore, Dhruva Maharaj, even though he was engaging in devotional service under the directions of Narada Muni, with a desire to attain a kingdom greater than the greatest possible kingdom within a universe, he's still counted as a devotee. He's not counted as a karmi, because he not only engaged in the activity of devotion service, but he also had the desire characteristic of a devotee. So therefore, I keep saying that there are various parameters that has to be taken into consideration before we calibrate ourselves as karmis or jnanis or yogis or bhaktas. And that is also very important in our consideration of who else is devotee or not. First consideration is Shraddha itself, faith and enthusiasm. Faith, enthusiasm, respect, all of that comes under the category Shraddha. Prajna, understanding. Sriha, ambition, desire, hankering. Kriya, activity. All of this put together make us into a bhakta, or a yogi, or a jnani, or a karmi, or an adharmika, a person engaged in adharmic activities. Bhaktivinoda Thakur refers to such a person as a Vishayi. Vishayi means one who is attached to Vishaya. Vishaya means object or sense object. Sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Sense enjoyment, you can say. So Vishayi is sense gratifier. But everyone, a Vishayi or a Karmi or a Jnani or a Yogi or a Bhakta, everyone in this five Each and everyone has a particular Shraddha, Prajna, Kriya, a particular faith or a conviction, a particular understanding, a particular desire, and a particular set of activities. So when we talk about devotee, these things should be taken into consideration. Therefore, the propensity of one who takes shelter of the holy name to dishonor Vaishnava should be given up completely. If there are doubts about the activities of Vaishnavas, instead of immediately blaspheming them, investigate their intentions. Therefore, it is absolutely essential to be respectful towards saintly devotees. In Vaishnava Ninda, an article published in 3 issues of the Sajan Toshini, Volume 5, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur analyzes what Vaishnava Aparadha is and isn't on the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll come back to this at a later point. There are different levels of respect also. One must respect a devotee. One's respect for a devotee should be commensurate, should be proportionate to his devotional accomplishment. This is something which is very poorly understood within our movement. Generally, we tend to respect Vaishnavas according to our relationships with them. But Rupa Goswami does not teach that. He teaches that we should respect devotees, Vaishnavas, according to their spiritual accomplishment, which may have nothing. They may be related to us in some manner. They may not be related to us in any manner also. But they should be objectively, because they have accomplished they have come to a particular point, they need to be respected for that accomplishment. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation Diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotion service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So here there are 3 different levels of Vaishnavas. The first level of Vaishnava only chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. The second level of devotee, let me call him a level 2 devotee. He is chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. He has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshipping the deity. The third level of devotee chants the holy name of Lord Krishna, has undergone spiritual initiation, is engaged in worshipping the deity, and he's advanced in undeviated devotional service, and his heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others and similar anarthas. 3 levels of respect also. First level of respect, to mentally honor the devotee. Second level of respect, to mentally honor the devotee and offer humble obeisances to that devotee. Third level of respect, to mentally honor the devotee, to offer humble obeisances to the devotee, and to associate with and faithfully serve that devotee. All 3. So, generally the idea is level 1 respect is meant to be given for level 1 devotee. Level 2 respect is meant to be given for level 2 devotee. Level 3 respect is meant to be given for level 3 devotees. But we generally don't carefully follow this. We may over-respect or under-respect and just bring confusion. This is also being placed as the 5th instruction, which itself indicates that unless one is sufficiently self-controlled and is self-disciplined himself to not regress and to progress and to relate with devotees on the basis of his spiritual progress, he will not be able to engage in these activities correctly. Okay, stanza 13. Translation. To consider Shiva and other demigods to be independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been counted as an offense to the holy name of Lord Hari. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, meaning that he is unrivaled. The Vedic scriptures are monotheistic. Shiva and other demigods do not have an existence independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Bhakti Sandarbha quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam to establish this very point. Here, the common features of Lord Shiva and the demigods headed by Lord Brahma are taken into consideration. If one honors Shiva and other demigods as Gunavataras of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or as devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no longer a conception of them being independent of him. Those who consider Mahadev to be an independent deity and worship Shiva and Vishnu do not accept Mahadev's opulent status. They do not actually accept his factual opulence. According to Śrīla Rupa Goswami's Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sadashiva, referred to by Śrīla Rupa Goswami as Adi Shiva, is the source of the Tamoguna avatar Shiva in each universe, which is a post like the post of Brahma and which is generally occupied by Jivas empowered by Sadashiva. If no Jiva is fit to occupy the post of the Tamoguna avatar Shiva, then Sadashiva himself takes the role of the Tamoguna avatar Shiva. Lord Narayana is neither under the control of Maya nor in touch with him. Sadashiva is not under the control of Maya, but he is in touch with him. The Jivas are both under the control of Maya and in touch with him. This is the distinction between Narayana, Sadashiva, and the Jiva. This is clear from Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Chaitanyam hit vidham bhavati. We already saw this. Swatantram swatantram cha tatra prathamam sarva vyapakam ishvarakyam dvitiyam dehamatra vyapi shaktikam jivakyam ishvarakyam. Conscious beings are of two types, independent and dependent. Within the first category, there are further two categories, subcategories. The first refers to Ishvara, the controller, who is all pervasive. And the second subcategory I got disconnected. Who is this calling me? Disconnected. It just disconnected and connected again actually, by itself. Again, I got to fix this. Who's the host now? Okay, I'm not the host. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't know where I stopped. Let me assume that I stopped. Here. Lord Narayana is neither under the control of Maya nor in touch with her. Sadashiva is not under the control of Maya, but he is in touch with her. The Jivas are both under the control of Maya and in touch with her. This is the distinction between Narayana, Sadashiva, and the Jiva. This is clear from Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Chaitanyam hi dvidham bhavati. Conscious beings are of two types. Swatantram, aswatantram cha. Tatra prathamam, sarva vyapakam. Ishvarakyam, dvitiyam, dehamatra vyapti shaktikam. Vyapi shaktikam. Jivakyam Ishitavyam. So the first category refers to so there are basic two categories: independent conscious being and dependent conscious being. Within the first category, there are two subcategories. There is the controller Ishvara, who is all pervasive, all pervading. And the second category, the Jiva, who is meant to be controlled, the controlled, and whose consciousness pervades only within his particular body. Within the Ishvara category, there are two further subcategories. There is one category which refers to Ishvara, who is devoid of any touch of Maya. And another category of Ishvara is Ishvara, who has a lila, as a sport. That means not under force, has accepted the touch of Maya. Tatra prathamam Nārāyana-bhakti, dvitiyam Shiva-bhakti. Amongst these two, the first one is accepted as having the name Narayana, etc. The second category of Ishvara is accepted as having names such as Shiva. Thus, they become offenders of both Vishnu and Shiva. Lord Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Narayana, but categorized as being separate from him. His independence is not absolute, for he is dependent on Lord Narayana. Even Lord Shiva, who is greater than even Lord Brahma, is dependent on Lord Vishnu. And what to speak of the lesser deities? Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda has spelled out the position of Lord Shiva in detail. In the Bhakti Sandarbha also, the position of Lord Shiva is brought out clearly while discussing the second Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Those who take shelter of Lord Hari's holy name should firmly give up such a conception of the demigods being independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should have it very, very clear that he alone is the Supreme. There are no two Supremes. And just give me 1 minute. I have some time back, last month back or something. Okay, here is some statement. Somebody had questioned the validity of Prabhupada's explanation of this offense. So I wanted to, this may be, how do I make this big? No, but I can't see it clearly. Okay, so this is in Bhakti Sandarbha, Anucheda or section 265. Shivasya Shri Vishnorya Gunanamadi Sakalam Dhiya Bhinnam Pashyet Sakalul Hari-nāma Hitakara. who he even considers the qualities, names and other features of Shiva to be independent of Shri Vishnu is an offender unto the holy name of Hari. Shivasya Shri Vishnu-rityatra manasen anusandheyam shruyate. The text beginning with Shivasya Shri Vishnu should be understood in the following manner. We also hear the following from the scriptures. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimadurjitamevava tattadevavagakshatvam mama tejonsha sambhavamiti. Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Krishna speaking this. So from this we understand that anybody else is glorious. If you see anyone being glorious, it is because Krishna has empowered him with that glory. So Lord Shiva is glorious because of Krishna's will. Brahma bhavohamapi yasya kalayah iti. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and I are portions of his portion. This is spoken by Lord Balaram. Portions of his portion. Yatpada nisrita sarit pravarodakena tirthena murdhya dikrutena shiva shivo bhut iti. The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which has its source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. Shiva literally means the auspicious one. Became Shiva, became auspicious because he has put on his head the Charanamrita coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is Ganga. Sajamitan niyuktoham haro harati tadvasha vishvam purusharupena paripati trishakti dhriti. By his will, I create. This is spoken by Lord Brahma. Lord Shiva destroys, and he himself in his eternal form as the personality of Godhead maintains everything. So it is by Krishna's will, by Lord Narayana's will, that Brahma creates, Lord Shiva destroys. So from this we understand that Lord Shiva is dependent on the will of Lord Narayana. His power of destruction is dependent on the will of Lord Narayana. Brahma's power of creation is dependent on the will of Lord Narayana. As the personality of Godhead maintains everything. He is the powerful controller of these three energies. Tatha Madhava Bhashya Darshitani Vachanani Brahmande. The following statements from the Brahmanda Purana have been quoted in Madhvacharya's commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Rujam dravayate yasmad rudras tasmad janardana ishanadeva cheshano mahadevo mahatvataha vibanti ye naranakam mukta samsara sagara tadadharo yado vishnu pinaki tatasthrita Shiva Sukhatmakatvena Sarvasaro Dhanad Sarvasaro Dhanad Dharaha Krityatmakam imam deham yato vaste pravartayan Kritivasa Pato Devo Virinchis Tad Virechanat Brahmanan Brahmanamaso Aishwaryadindra Uchyate Evam Nana Vidhay Shabde Ekaeva Trivikrama Vedeshu Cha Puraneshu Yiyate Purushottamaha. Because he drives away pain, Vishnu is called Rudra. Because he is the controller, he is called Ishana. Because Vishnu is the controller, he is called Ishana. Because Vishnu is the greatest, he is called Mahadeva. Vishnu is called Pinaki, holder of a literally means holder of a trident. But Pinaki actually comes from some other etymology. Because Vishnu is the support of persons who, liberated from the ocean of samsara, enjoy the spiritual sky, Pinaka. Vishnu is called Shiva because he is the embodiment of happiness. Vishnu is called Hara because he destroys everything. Vishnu is called Kritivasa because he lives in and operates the body which produces action, Kritya. Vishnu is called Virinchi because he extends beyond. Virinchi is commonly associated with Lord Brahma, that name. Vishnu is called Brahma because he expands. Vishnu is called Indra because he has power. Thus, the one Supreme Lord is glorified by various types of names in the Vedas and Purana. Vamane, in the Vamana Purana it is said, Natu Narayana Adinam Nāmāśraya-bhakti samshayam Anyanamnam Gatir Vishnu Ekaeva Prakirtitaha. There is no doubt that the names of Narayana are used for others. Vishnu alone is glorified as the shelter of other names. Skande, in Skanda Purana it is said, Rite Narayana Adini Namani Purushottama Padadanyatra Bhagavan Rajevar Te Swakam Puram. except for names like Narayana. The Lord gave his other names to others, just as a king, apart from his city, gives other places to his minister. Brahme, Brahma Purana says, Chaturmukha Shatanando Brahmana Padmabhuriti, Ugro Bhasmadharo Nagna Kapali Iti Shivasya Visheshanamani Dadau Swakiyanyappi Keshavaha. The Lord gave actually some of his particular names, specific names to others. To Brahma, he gave the names Chaturmukha, Shatananda, and Padmabhu. To Shiva, he gave the names Ugra, Bhasmadhara, Nagna, and Kapali. Tadevam Sri Vishnu. So that's the end of the quotation. Tadevam Sri Vishnu Sarvatmakatvena Prasiddhatvat. Tasmat Sakashat Shivasya Gunanamadikam Bhinnam Shakyantara Siddhamiti Yodhyadivashyed Ityarthaha. Therefore, since it is well known that Vishnu is ultimately the soul of all souls, including Shiva, he who even considers that Shiva's qualities, names, and so on are separate from Sri Vishnu, that is, derived from Shiva's own potencies, independent of Sri Vishnu's potencies, is an offender unto the holy name of Hari. This is the meaning of the text beginning Shivasya Shri Vishnu. In other words, go back. He who even considers the qualities, names, and other features of Shiva to be independent of Sri Vishnu. That means Shiva gets his qualities, he has a distinct set of qualities. Those qualities are coming because of Lord Vishnu. For that, evidence was already shown in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 10th canto, Bhagavatam 3rd canto, Bhagavatam 2nd canto. Names of Shiva, they are also not independent of Sri Vishnu, because those names are also given to him by Sri Vishnu. It's not that he assumed his own name. That is also coming from Vishnu. For that, evidence was given from Brahmanda Purana, from Vamana Purana, Skanda Purana, Brahma Purana. So therefore, Jiva Goswami is saying, to even think like that is an offense. It is an offense in thought. There are different types of offenses. This is an offense in thought. Dvayor abheda tatparyena shashyantatve sati Shri Vishnu's chetyapeksha cha shabda kriyeta. Had it been the intent to disclose the absolute non-difference between Shiva and Vishnu by considering Shri Vishnu to be in the genitive case, possessive case, sixth case, the word cha and would have been added to render Shivasya Shri Vishnu's cha. But cha has not been added. In other words, you need a particular construction in the sentence in order to give the impression that one who considers Shiva and Vishnu to be different from each other is an offender. But that word cha has not been added. So from that we understand that translation is wrong. That pradhanya vivaksha Shri Shabdascha tatreva datta. In order to point out that Vishnu predominates over Shiva, the word Shri has been prefixed only with his name. Look, go back. Shiva is Shri Vishnu. He even considers the qualities, names, and other features of Shiva. Shri is not used. He doesn't say Shri Shiva to be independent of Shri Vishnu. Only Shri has been prefixed only for Vishnu. Shri has not been prefixed for Shiva. So from that also we understand that Shiva is under the control of Lord Vishnu. Then I've given some other remarks. The second last remark of Shri Jiva proves beyond doubt that the text about the second Nāmāśraya cannot be rendered as the following or anything like the following. One who considers the qualities, names, and everything about Shiva and Vishnu to be different from each other is an offender unto Harināma. The word for and cha is missing in the text. Also, Shri Vishnu is in the ablative case. Panchami, not in the genitive case, Shashti, which points out that Shri Vishnu is the cause of the qualities, names, and all other features of Shiva. Gunanamadi Sakala. To prove this, Sri Jiva Goswami first of all quotes Bhagavad Gita as a general principle to be applied to Lord Shiva and all other powerful beings of the universe. He then quotes from Bhagavatam 10th canto to prove that Lord Shiva is a part of Lord Vishnu, not equal to Lord Vishnu. That Shiva's quality of being the destroyer is caused by Lord Vishnu is set out in 2nd canto. That all of Shiva's auspicious characteristics are due to Lord Vishnu is clear from 3rd canto. To prove that Sri Vishnu is the cause of Shiva's names, the Acharya quotes from Brahmanda, Vamana, Skanda and Brahma Purana. Therefore, Prabhupada is accurate when he renders the text beginning Shivasya Sri Vishnu as to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. Those who take shelter of Lord Hari's holy name should firmly give up such a conception of the demigods as them being independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Stanza 14. Translation. Dishonor of the bona fide spiritual master is an offense to the holy name. He from whom the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of the Acharya. This should be properly understood. Raghunath Goswami Prabhu also asserts in his Manashiksha, Guruvaram Mukunda Prishtatve Smara. Remember that the bona fide spiritual master is dear to Lord Mukunda. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada notes in his Bhakti Sandarbha, Shuddha Bhakta tu Eke Shri Guru Shri Shivasya cha Bhagavata Saha Abheda Drishtim Tat Priyatama Naiva Manyante. Some pure devotees, however, consider that viewing the bona fide spiritual master and Lord as being one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only out of consideration that they are dearmost to the Supreme Lord. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur in Guru Ashtaka points out that though the bona fide spiritual master, a perfect pure Vaishnava, as characterized in the Guru Ashtaka itself, is described in all scriptures and by the saints following the scriptures as being Lord Hari himself. It is, however, only because he is dear to Lord Krishna, not because he is a Vishnu Tattva expansion of the Lord. Sakshadharitvena samasta shastre ruktastatha bhavyata eva sadhi kintu prabhorya priyeva. By rendering firm devotion service unto him, one should attain unshakable attachment for the holy name of Lord Hari. In text 5 of Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami notes that one should serve the Vaishnavas and the bona fide spiritual master. That is, a Vaishnava, a sent person engaged in the service of Lord Krishna without anarthas. And later in text 7 of the same word, he notes that the holy name of Lord Krishna should be chanted with care and respect, adara. It is understood that the first 3 texts of Upadeshamrita deal with Shraddha, the second 3 texts deal with Sadhu Sangha, and the next verses deal with Bhajana Kriya. Since Bhajana Kriya will not lead to Anartha Nivriti unless accompanied by Sadhu Sangha and Shraddha, it is clear that in order to attain the ability to chant the holy name with care and respect, one is required to serve the bona fide spiritual master, the Vaishnava sent person engaged in the service of Lord Krishna without anarthas. Stanza 15. Translation. the activity of blaspheming authentic scriptures should be abandoned. If one blasphemes the scriptures, the beginningless Vedic scriptures, and the Smriti scriptures that follow them, from which it is possible to know about Bhagavata Dharma, an offense to the holy name of Lord Hari is committed. Throughout the Vedas and other such scriptures, the glory of the holy name of Lord Hari has been declared. For instance, throughout the Vedas and everywhere in the Ramayana, Puranas, and Mahabharata, from the beginning to the middle to the end, the prayers of Lord Hari, the praises of Lord Hari are sung. The Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's remark on the fourth offense in his Madhurya Kadambini, chapter 3, is interesting. Naita Bhagavad Bhaktim Sprishanti Bahirmukhya Vijita iti Jnana Karma Pratipadika Shruti Yenaiva Mukhena Anindams Tenaiva Mukhena Tas Tad Anushtatrimscha Janan Muhur Abhinandya Namabhir Uchai Sankirtikai Shruti Shastra Nindana Rupat Chatursa Paradan Istareyo Yatastah Shrutayaha Bhakti Margeshu Anadhikarinah Swachandavartinaha Paramaragadhananapi Vartmamatram Adhyarohayitum Udyata Paramakarunika Eveti Tatatparya Vidyajana Prabodhita Yadi Bhagyavashad Bhaveyus Tadeveti. One might offend those Vedic scriptures that establish karma and jnana but not bhakti by saying these scriptures don't touch Bhagavad Bhakti. Indeed, they are averse to Bhagavad Bhakti and are condemned. But if one again appreciates those Vedic scriptures and those who carry out those injunctions, along with loud chanting of the holy names, one can be delivered from the fourth offense in the form of criticism of Vedic scripture. Because those Vedic scriptures endeavor to elevate those ineligible for Bhagavad Bhakti, the whimsical souls extremely blinded by attachment to sense enjoyment, to acceptance of Vedic authority. They are supremely compassionate upon the conditioned souls. If fortunately one is enlightened by those who are aware of the intentions of the Vedic scriptures, only then can one be rescued from the fourth offense. Vede Ramayane Chaiva, it's from Harivamsha, the famous verse. This is quoted in Śrīla Jiva Goswami Prabhu's Tattva Sundaram. The English translation of the verse is by Śrī Gopi Pranana Prabhu. The same point is made by the Supreme Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedasya Sarvaira Sameva Vedya. By all the Vedas I am to be known. How is the Supreme Lord Krishna glorified in all the Vedic scriptures? Acharya Baladeva Devushan explains in his Bhagavad Gita Gauranga. Tatra karmakandena paramparaya jnanakandena tu sakshadati vodhyam. It should be understood that he is glorified in the Karmakanda section indirectly and the Jnanakanda section directly. It comes in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita. If one blasphemes such authentic scriptures, how can one attain attachment to Lord Hari's holy name? What to speak of finding fault with Vedic scriptures? Even a slight conversation with those who criticize the Vedas is extremely detrimental. Śrīla Jiva Goswami notes in Bhakti Sandarbha 153, Sri Vishnu Purane Shatadhanur Namnaha Rajyaha Bhagavad Aradhana Tatparasyapi Veda Vaishnava Alpa Sambhashayaiva Uttāradi Prapti Ukta. It is stated in Sri Vishnu Purana that a king named Shatadhanu, though fixed in worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, attained birth in the body of a dog and so on, simply because of slightly conversing with the blasphemer of the Vedas and Vaishnavas. We learn from the Vishnu Purana that King Shatadhanu had slightly conversed with an elderly acquaintance of his who happened to be a Pashandi, a blasphemer of the Vedas and Vaishnavas. But because of this offense, he took his next birth as a dog, then a jackal, then a wolf, then a vulture, then a crow, then a crane, and then a peacock. Therefore, Sri Vishnu Purana instructs, Tasmat Pashandibhe Papaye Alapas Parshane Yaje. Therefore, one should give up talking with and touching sinful blasphemers of Vedic scripture. One who disbelieves in any part of the Vedic scriptures, considering them invalid, is called the blasphemer of Vedic scripture or Pashandi. These are all very serious matters. There is also another, let me see if I can trace out Mani Manjari. So, some instance of Mani Manjari. This is originally written by Narayana-acharya or Narayana Pandita. Madhva line. He was the son of Trivikrama Pandita, who became one of the celebrated disciples of Sri Madhvacharya. Narayana Pandita is mainly credited for having written a proper biography of Madhvacharya. This book is called Mani Manjari. And here, this is like a prequel. From whatever I can see, this information that is here must have come directly from Madhvacharya himself. That is one place. These are all, it talks about events that led to Madhvacharya's appearance. So one incident regarding Kumarila. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in fact, gave a Bengali translation for this. Okay. Okay, so this is referring to a particular time when there was a Kumara Bhakta, appears to refer to Kumarila Bhatta, who had a brother named Bhattanarayana. This was a few centuries before Madhva's appearance. Madhva appeared in 1200s. Ramanuja appeared in 1000 something. Few centuries before. It is Sanskrit. This portion is actually Sanskrit, written in Bengali script. This portion is a Bengali translation by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So let me do one thing. Just a small little incident, which I want to bring it up. Let me also consult this. May contain some useful insights. Okay, so there was one Acharya named Shabara who had two sons. One was Kumara Bhatta and the other was Bhattanarayana. So the first one, Kumarastu tada bheji bauddham tanmata vittaye Narayanena sammantriya samprapte dharma sankate. when the first son, Kumara Bhatta, he was in a crisis of dharma, he consulted his younger brother Narayana, and in order to understand Buddhism, now Buddhism had taken over India at that time. It was a reigning philosophy, just like in today's world. Science is the reigning philosophy, and in many parts, Darwinism is the reigning philosophy. You cannot speak against it. If you speak against it, you are kicked out. That's all. Many places it's still going on in first world countries. So like that, Buddhism was the reigning ideology. So Kumara Bhatta, in order to understand Buddhism in detail, he had gone to serve a Shakya Buddhist. So the system was that you serve the teacher and you learn. That's how you have to do. Prasada Gresa Shakyasya Bhatto Dhyanjayita Pade Vedam Viplavanam Vyakyam Shrutva Shruni Yapatayat. So one time, when he was serving as Guru, he was on top of a multi-story building, in a roof, and he was oiling the feet of that Shakya, that Buddhist teacher, and he was hearing various explanations which are criticizing the Vedas. And Kumara Bhatta's heart was burning, and tears came out of his eyes. Tad ushnima anumanena viprasya dhim abodhisaha hanyatam esha chadmatmeti jagadasha. Those tears were hot. As soon as they touched Shakya Sangha, that Buddhist teacher's feet, then he would immediately understand that Bhatta is in great anxiety. Then he immediately said, "This is a deceiver. He's a cheat. He's not a Buddhist. He is dressed himself as a Buddhist to study Buddhism, but actually he's a cheat." And then he said, "Kill him, kill him." Tadanim hantu kamesmin nyapatat dharanitale bhatto vedah pramanam ched jivamiti vacho dhruvan. At that time, Kumara Bhatta, he said, "You test me. Right now, I myself am jumping out of this roof. If the Veda is not valid, no, if the Veda is valid, if the Veda is fully truthful, then I will survive. I will not die." Shanka Vedena tasyaikam chakshurnashtam tato bhavat Veda pramanya sandehat Kānosītya Śrī Hari. So then when Kumara Bhatta, he jumped from the roof, then there was a thorn or a sharp instrument on the ground. So when he fell on the ground, that sharp instrument that pierced his eye, so he lost one eye. So then all these Buddhists, then they began to have doubts about their philosophy, that the Buddhists are no. So then why did he get that, why did he lose one eye? He lost one eye because he even entertained that doubt about the Veda. Therefore, there was an Asharira-vak, a voice from the sky, which said, "Bhatta, you told that Buddhist teacher, if the Veda is true, I will survive." So by simply saying if the Veda is true, you have indicated that you had a doubt. So because you had a doubt, this punishment is given to you. So accepting the Veda means accepting the Veda fully, absolutely, with no second thoughts. Okay, let me note down. The next stanza should be 16. Okay, just 1 minute, 1 minute. How do I? Prem Gosundar.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, this is a slight doubt. I mean, I'm not sure, therefore I'm checking with you that I have heard somebody say that in the Vedas there is one shloka or a verse which says, Lord Vishnu is saying that anyone who considers Lord Shiva to be different from me is an offender. I don't know, is it correct or wrong or true?
No, you'll find statements like that in many places, even in Bhagavatam. Anyone who one should not consider Brahma and me to be separate. But that is in terms of being separate or being together. It's not about being the same.
But then what do they mean by saying to be different, who considers to be different from me is an offender? He is different, right?
No, he's different, but he's not he's not his enemy.
Sorry, he's not?
He's not his enemy.
Yeah, of course. Not an enemy.
They are one in this particular sense. We are one. Just like there is in political diplomacy, there is something known as Sama Bheda Dana Danda. When you have to deal with an opponent, like the Kauravas had to deal with the Pandavas, the first thing that they do is they talk very sweetly, try to reconcile just on the basis of communication, Sama. When that doesn't happen, the next step is you try to create Bheda, dissension. So Bheda, which literally means difference, also means dissension. So when then in fact there was an attempt to go to each of the Pandavas and try to separate them from the others. Then the Pandavas basically said, we are all one. Now we are all one doesn't mean that the 5 Pandavas are all, they're not one. 5 or 5 individuals. But there is Matya Ikya. All of them have the same idea, united in conception. So the language of oneness is used even in today's world, not to refer to absolute equality. Prabhupada gives this example. You talk about one company merging with another company. That doesn't mean that the assets literally merged. It simply means that the first company has agreed to accept the interest of the second company as its sole interest, and accepts the subjugation of, accepts that it will become subjugated absolutely by the second company.
So can we consider it to be something like Achinta Bheda Bhed? He's different also, he's non-different also?
But it's different and non-different in what sense? Everything has to be defined according to Shastra. Our duty is not to try to make everyone happy. Our duty is to first of all convey the scriptural truth and to investigate the scriptural truth and to encourage everyone to investigate the scriptural truth. Okay. Leela Madhuri Lalita Mataji.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, in the beginning of the session, you said, you read, knowingly if somebody is offending the holy name, it is not forgiven. So every day I know that I'm not able to concentrate. My chanting is inattentive. it is an offense. So what should I understand about this, Prabhu?
We should work hard and chant offenselessly. We should work hard on attentively chanting.
Trying, Prabhu, but I'm finding it very difficult.
It is difficult, agreed. But no pain, no gain.
Prabhu?
No pain, no gain.
Pain, no gain. Okay.
But it's worth it. It will lead to permanent benefit if we can manage to control our restless mind. Also because we may be doing other things which are completely bhakti pratikul. You cannot, engage in some kind of meditation in the middle of airport,
Yes.
So if our life is like Delhi airport, it will not work. That is why there is Varnashrama Dharma. Why Varnashrama Dharma? Why Krishna spent so much time talking about Varnashrama Dharma in Bhagavad Gita and the spirit with which you have to engage in all that? Why didn't he simply say Manmana Bhava Madbhaktu Madhyaji Mamnato? Enough, over, whole thing is over. Why he has to talk about so many other things? Because you don't have that kind of environment. For most of us, we will not be able to execute Manmana Bhava Madbhaktu Madhyaji Mamnamaskuru with Chetaika Agriya, with focus of mind. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari Protavya Kirtitavyascha Jaya Pujyascha Nityada. This is Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. These are our activities. But it has to be done with focus. And for that, these are all very helpful. These things we know these things will not necessarily lead us to a focus of mind, but they are facilities. They are very helpful. And we must take advantage of it. Unless, we happen to be like, for instance, Mrigari. Somehow or other he accepted Narada Muni as his teacher. And whatever he told him, he did, without a second thought. So if we are not capable of that degree of surrender, he told him give up his livelihood also, he gave it up. And on top of it, told him to give away all of his wealth also, he gave it up. He told him to stop endeavoring for even roti kapda makan, that also he did. Told him to simply sit and chant in front of Tulasi, that also he did. Without a second thought, without argument. That's all. So if we cannot do that, then we have a process. Krishna is very kind, He's given unlimited different ways to bring us to the point. So let us take advantage of all these things while we need to organize our life in a manner that makes it more favorable. Why do people even live in homes? To save ourselves from the various forms of unpredictable changes in climate and so on. You need to be protected. You don't have a home, you don't have a house. Then when the storm comes, you will not be able to, whatever you're doing, it's going to be disturbed. Very few of us can live like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami under a tree. So like that, for us, for chanting, to develop our chanting, to sit in one place, close the eyes, without falling asleep, chant. Try to hear the holy names and then develop that, increase that. That requires some kind of life, that kind of a life. If we break dharma, we don't follow our materials for dharma, we're only making it more and more difficult. So to progress in proper chanting, attentive chanting itself, will force you to listen to Krishna's instructions on everything else, on how to, all the other things all the material things that are told, all of that becomes relevant. Just for this one reason, to make it favorable to progress in bhakti. All right. Anything else? Okay. Anshakapaturu Vyashya Kripasanti Bhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.